Hello, everyone. It is Sheryl Hickerson, People's in Finance, and today we're going to revisit LinkedIn. You should not be sleeping on LinkedIn. So much power in LinkedIn. So Katie Kimball had asked us to do sort of a recap, revisit the whole nine, and we're here. And I'm actually going to pick on who wants to be. Let's see. I might pull up a couple people's profile here on the call here. I didn't know who was going to show up today, but we're going to share my screen and we're going to walk through a couple of things on here. And I didn't prepare any slides because I really want this to be truly, a work in progress. Can everybody see my screen? Yes. Yeah, good. And the reason for this is because there's always change. And then some of you do things super well. Some of you are like back there kind of watching and, another thing. So I want to walk through what I know to be some of the areas that Google's looking for. That's really important for all of you. And outside of that, the rest of it is kind of cake. And there's some things that are definitely going to bring you a big return. And I feel fairly, I feel like I have qualified to talk about this today. I have 13,000 plus followers on LinkedIn. It does take time to build a following unless you're doing something really viral, and then you'll get someone who, you'll get a lot of people to follow you. But the big ones that I want to share with you is making certain, and this is going to sound super crazy right off the bat, is please make sure your name is your name. And what do I mean by that? There's a lot of nicknames out there. And if you go by one, it's very difficult to find you sometimes. And for those who have very common names, Katie Kimball, that, who has a tendency to write Catherine on her LinkedIn. I don't know anybody who calls you Catherine, but maybe your dad. Is that right, Katie?
He doesn't even call me Catherine. I have updated that to Katie.
Right on. Used to be back in the day, I would go to look for Katie and I'm like, I know she's on LinkedIn. Okay. But let's pull up, I'm going to pull up our friend Katie Kimball real quick and do a little search here. And guess what her LinkedIn says? Catherine Kimball up here in her URL.
I just noticed that. I was like, oop, didn't update the URL though.
No, you didn't. She's like, man, she's calling us out today. Look at this.
I asked for it.
But you asked for it. So there you go. This is a really easy fix unless it's connected to a whole bunch of different things on your site, your websites, and then you have to go change it, right? So I do encourage, if you can, to make certain that the back half of your LinkedIn profile, number one, is personalized if it's not. But number two, try to get it as close as you can to what people would naturally search for. It just makes it so much easier. People a lot of times are going to start on Google for searches. So we're just going to do a little test with Katie Kimball since she's so used to being a guinea pig and fun. I'm going to just put Katie Kimball in and see what comes up. And right off the bat, I happen to know that there was an author named Katie Kimball. The reason why this is I want you guys to know, just by show of hands, raise your hand if you think that Google looks different today when you go here, like right now, the way you see it. That's right. This is the reason for that is because they, let me lower my hand on here because it definitely always notices it. Because guess what? Found out that Google said, wow, when young people go to search for stuff, they're not actually Googling. You know what they're using? TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok. Very, very visual video. And so they had to change their game for it to be the same. So you're going to start seeing when you go in to make searches now that that videos are going to come up instead. If you don't have videos, then you're not going to show up in those searches. Okay. So it's really important. Now with Katie Kimball, guess what? She's going up against the author, Katie Kimball, who has this kitchen stewardship, and she's an author. And so what is Katie Kimball, our Katie Kimball, the greatest Katie Kimball in the world, going to do to beat that? Now, if I do Katie Kimball LinkedIn, okay, she's still not even the one that comes up there. It's a recruiter at Google. Shock, not at all, right? Another one here. Anybody seen Katie Kimball show up? No Katie Kimball. until you
My
get,
SSO used to be better when I had my own website.
that's right, it did. So guess what? This is all the way down here. So we need to work on boosting her up there, right? So I'll pick on myself since we picked on her.
But Cheryl, if you put in Catherine, does she come up?
Yeah, so if you watch this, what happens? So if I put in Catherine Kimball, just Catherine Kimball, okay? Nope, we're still,
No, it's a super common name, so this is a big issue
yeah,
for me.
it's a really big issue. So you've got to, so I'm just picking on different people and I do it to myself. I tell you, whatever I do to you, I do to me. I want to make certain. So yeah, definitely this came up, our business came up. There's the LinkedIn right there at the top.
Mhm.
All right. So where do I have? I have a different, bit different last name now than I used to have when I was Brown. But all of this is going to be stuff that has to do with, my being out there, right? Who's another one who's going to be a good, we're going to pick on Mary Schmidt because she's got such a common name. There we go, Mary, you're coming up. Look at that though. She owns that first space and it's her website. So Katie, you're right. Your website really does help you, come up. And you can see her as an author. It's up here. Her book has helped her a lot.
Yeah, when I was running KimballFinancial.com, I actually came up in the top 3, but we're gonna pick on Gateway. When I moved to Gateway, I lost my
That's all right. Yes, we
my
will pick
Google
on.
presence.
We
We'll fix
definitely,
it.
we definitely can pick on that, right? So
Yeah.
if that's the case though, let's see about, and there's Mary's LinkedIn, it's down here.
Right.
So, her Facebook's going to come above that, before that, Instagram for sure, because, Facebook owns that. Any of her YouTube, because Google owns that. So you can see how they're going to, it's very strategic, friends. Okay. But I do all of that because, and you can see they're even doing pre-plays on some of the stuff now. This is very TikTok friendly. Okay. So, but, of course you're going to get your YouTubes first, then a TikTok if somebody's on it, right? So I wanted to show you guys in real time what that looked like without you guys preparing for whoever was going to be on this call. It's really important. And I think it's the other thing too, Katie, is that you have compassionate financial advice for modern families and professionals. That's great. Doesn't tell me where you work. Yeah. Doesn't tell me where. Even if it's Kimball Financial. Gateway Financial, whatever you want to put on there, put something in there that kind of gives people a landing spot, how they land that plane. Okay. Because you're working against this algorithm at all times. Okay. The quicker that Google can index and find you, the faster your return is. So let's go to Mary Schmidt for a second. I love when I get to pick on all of you. So much fun. And here we go. The lovely Mary Schmidt, The Chemistry of Conversation. And, you can look on her book is on here, right front and center. Okay. She's got, connections on here. She's got a lot of stuff that she's written. One of the things, Mary, that I would like to see you do is actually fill out your company information. So when I come here and I see this little grayed out business, that means you don't really have a company page filled out, because if it did, even if all it was your book front, like the front of your make it or break it conversation was here. But I mean, even could be your face because you're a consultant. Everybody, I'm going to pick on my friend Judy because she's always a good guinea pig. If Judy Hoberman ever came with long blonde hair, I would not even recognize her. She is always on brand with her hair, with the cut, everything is her boots, the whole nine. I have an expectation, her skirt, everything she's going to look like. It's kind of like me showing up at an event wearing pink. I mean, if I showed up at an event and spoke at a stage wearing green, people would be like, that doesn't even look right. So Mary, for you, I would like to see you fill out that experience and fill that out as much as possible. Because if I click this and want to learn more about your business, look where it goes, nowhere.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So we're going to pick on my friend Judy, since I brought her up. Now, here's a rock star, and she's got an amazing team too. But I love the fact that what Judy did was she took it even further, and she put a lot of her search words right in her name.
Mm.
And you guys can do this. Okay. So Judy Huberman, sales, leadership, trainer, and coach. Guess what? If you're going to know right off the bat, when you go to search for Judy Huberman, maybe that's all you know is her first name. Oh, look at all these things that show up, but look at the other names that are on here. And there are other Judy Hubermans out there. It's not our Judy Huberman. So if that's the case, look at the things that she has done. Her company, let's go down here. Selling in a skirt's filled out. I can actually click on her selling in a skirt and it's going to go to her website. Okay. She's got everything in here very filled out. Let's see how many, 8,800 followers. Good job. That's great. She's doing a lot of stuff here too. And I think that it seems, and right off the bat, like if you came in here, this women want to be treated equally, not identically. This is her tagline. This is her mantra, her motto. It's everything she's about. This is very much what I would like, the only thing that I would say that I would like to see a little bit different, Judy, is maybe have somebody take your background on Canva and lighten it so that you really pop in that picture.
I actually put that background because it's a different background, but it didn't stand out. But I can put it back to the white.
Yeah, I would definitely put
Okay.
it back to the white. You want it to really pop.
Okay.
And that's where all of a sudden people get a good feel, because right now what happens, she's got this really slick leather jacket on. And if you saw her, she really does show up at events in this leather jacket. And I know what I'm getting whenever I go out there. But the other thing that she's done here is, because she's used her name to the fullest ability, she doesn't have to use her professional headline as much. So going back to Katie, if you wanted to put Katie Kimball with Gateway Financial or Kimball Financial, whatever you want to do, you could literally drag that out like she has on here.
Yep.
And that would free up some of your professional headline space here. Because I think you're getting about 180 characters and y'all need to be using as many of them as you possibly can to tell your story.
But you have to have a hyphen, Katie. If you
Okay.
don't have the hyphen, it won't show up. It'll come just as Katie Kimball.
Yeah.
So just put the hyphen in there.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
they actually have to be back to back like she has them here. So
Yeah.
just make sure you use something to differentiate that, right? But she's got on here sales, leadership training, consultant for executive women in sales. Get ahead, stay ahead, move ahead faster. Yeah, I know what she's doing here. She's very clear on that. Okay. So you want to use that. So again, making certain that your URL is searchable, making sure you have a picture that pops. You want to make sure that you come out, just so you know, up close is better than far away. And the reason for that, especially if you're working with women, is because it's not because it's a behavioral metric. There was an article written by Cosmopolitan magazine that said, the thing that they love about you are your eyes. And then somebody came back who was a behavioral analyst and did a whole play on that and said, yeah, that's because as babies, we connect through our eyes. So really it has absolutely nothing to do with how fabulous you look or anything. It really has to do with who we are innately as human creatures. And that is how we first identify unless we're differently abled, in which case we then depend on other things, but it is through our eyes as babies. And if you think about it, women scan rooms at a pace far faster than men do. We walk into a room and we're paying attention to every single thing, from the smell that we walk in. What does it smell like? To how the paper feels on the edge of the restaurant, to knowing how many people were in booths, how many tables. I mean, we pay everything attention that close. My husband, the only thing he noticed was he might have caught where he saw the restroom sign. He's literally just not, it's just different, right? So if you're working with women, make certain aesthetically that it looks that way. And the other thing, Judy, too, I would tell someone to do for you is have this background where it's this building. I would even have that lightened up a little bit, and then have this where it says women want to be, and drag it out all the way here with a bigger font. This is hard to see on a mobile device when it's tiny. Okay, that would be the only changes. Otherwise, this looks really, really good. Who's up here next? Oh, Claire's going to be on the list. All right, so Claire's already done one thing right off the bat. She has a designation Did you guys know that women are more likely than men to not even list their designations on their LinkedIn? That's true. When I went to LinkedIn and spent time with them, first of all, if you have a designation, put it. And even if you're in training for it, like let's say, for example, your CFP is in training, put that behind it. The reason for that is because we have a tendency to downplay our accolades, whereas men upplay their accolades. So we got to just play to the advantage of how an algorithm's built, which is predominantly men build these. Let's just be honest. If that's the case and you have designations, put them. The more the merrier. I'm going to pick on somebody who's not on this call just to give you my friend Andrew. Just so you know, he's run out of space. He has something like 19 designations, and I am not even joking. Okay. The dude is a brainiac. Okay. He really is. And a nice man. He is he's special needs focused in the work that he does. He is on the spectrum himself, and he talks about what that looks like for himself. He's super funny, by the way, if you've never read his LinkedIn, and he does everything so well and so right. I really enjoy how he has set up his stuff. But a person who's not on this call that is very well designated is Ande Frazier. She is another person who, look at this, she's run out of room. And she has done everything. Another person who I would like to see her do a little bit more in her professional headline space on what it is that she does as a partner. I'd like to see that she works with women and doctors. I don't even know who her clientele is, but this tells me right off the bat, do you feel like this is a trustworthy person? If I didn't even know what these were, I'd be like, yeah. Well, what is a CHFC? I don't know. That's a chartered financial consultant for those who don't know. But if I didn't know and I saw this, it would look very trustworthy. So if you do have those in your, or if you're working towards them, please do what Claire's done and put them behind your name. One of the things she did that I thought was also great about hers, the first time I met her, she put down here what a CFSW is, because some people may not know what that is, as a certified financial social worker. And guess what? That is a very uncommon designation in financial services. It's very unique. And she puts right behind it, financial therapist. So I have a pretty good idea now that, okay, she's going to be able to maybe help me and my husband out when we have money fights. Got a pretty good feeling about this. Founder of Smart Chats. And she's got this highlighted, the SMART probably stands for something if I had to guess. I would hope that this is, spelled out. This is the very first thing, because I think that's what should be the very first thing here. You have seek clarity, take action, do better, to be better. I think that's great, but go right into why you called it Smart Chats. What is SMART? Specific.
Is it on there? Saving money and relationships together.
Yeah, it probably is. There it is down here.
Yep.
But guess what? I'm a skimmer, not a reader. Most people are skimmers, and most people are doing this on mobile devices. Okay. So always think mobile first. Think mobile first. Always, and forever. The other thing too, Claire, I don't think you've done is there's an ability for you to actually say your name on your, otherwise you're going to have people who think you're Doobie.
Okay. Funny story. That was my husband's name. We changed it to Dubay when we got married because he's a cop. And what cop you want to be married to who's Officer Doobie?
Unless you're Doobie brother, in which case you want to be that name. Yes, absolutely. I would say that the other thing too, Claire, I'd like to see you put a very clear, this is very pixelated picture.
Yep. And very old.
It is. But you still look like this. So I don't think it's about that. For me, it's the pixelation. Okay. So take a picture, your whatever cell phone you have. I don't care if it's an iPhone 7 and better. It's going to be plenty good enough for you to take a picture someplace, and then use Canva if you have to make certain that the backdrop, because you can remove if you need somebody to do that, tell me, I'll help somebody out. Because I have the ability to do that on my Canva subscription. This doesn't tell me anything.
Okay.
So I'd rather instead, what I think you should do, what is a financial therapist? Like, even I would put in there, Smart Chats, and then financial therapist. I put like a little fun definition. You've seen them before, kind of like what I love about, I love about Southwest Airlines is I love their marketing. And like their napkins this weekend, one side was wanna and the other side was getaway. Okay. And like, and it is cute, wanna, and it would go into the definition, you know, what you want to do with that word, you know, slang for, and then getaway. And it talks about going on different planes. So it was a beautiful napkin, wanna getaway, which is one of their things, right?
Right.
So I would right here off the bat, go right into and create something on Canva that says, you know, what the name of your company is, and then tell what financial therapy is, because that's very different than somebody like Christina, who she's doing financial coaching, she's doing, you know, tax, she's doing planning. It's going to be a little different, right? So I
Right.
want to make certain that people know right off the bat, and you can still use the same if you like this, because the coloring is a little bit like your branding, which is why I have a feeling you may have chosen this picture just by guessing.
Yep.
That's fine. Maybe make it a little bit lighten. You can do it on Canva. You can adjust how much is coming through, but make your point pop a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yep. And I love that you have a metro area on here. One of the things up here is I want you to personalize your URL if you can.
First thing I wrote.
Yep, I noticed that too. And then coming down here, you're the same as Mary. It says Claire Dubay Financial Therapy. I can't go anywhere to see what you do. It won't even let me. Okay. So make certain you fill that out. And again, you can literally take the picture you choose up here, make a square image out of it on Canva and drop it right into that so it comes through. You always want people to come because they want to learn more. The reason why you think, oh, they're just going to go to my website, really? Make certain that that's the case, that your contact information, that all of the, if you don't want your phone number out there, that's fine, unless it's your work number. I think it should come through on your public pages, because here's the deal, friends, is that these sites are so good at behaviorally changing who we are that I can tell you right now, I don't care if it's LinkedIn, I don't care if it's Twitter, Facebook, any of them. When you open it up, the very first thing your eyes do is it darts to the right. It wants to see these notifications. And the bigger that number, actually we get a dopamine push that says, whoa, I did something cool. And then we click it and it's going to show, oh, I don't want to care about the news. You know, what you want to look at is you want to look at engagement, because we're human beings and we need to have a conversation, as Mary Schmidt would always say, right? We can't have a conversation should business cut prices in recessions. I don't care. I'm past that. And you guys do the same thing. And this is all pushed out because it's been paid for to have that happen. Okay. So think about it that way. Christina, you're not off the hook, my friend. I see you sitting over there. So again, she's done a good job here of putting her CPA behind here. I love it. I know that she's got a little bit of, you know, Katie's got some compliance. Christina's got some a little bit of compliance. It's not as harsh as I would say maybe LPL would be with Katie. But what I would like to see on here, the Skirtsima Wealth Advisors, this looks a little pixelated as well. I would ask whoever does your imaging to get you something that's a little clearer. Because on a device, on a mobile device, I guarantee this is going to look super washed out. Okay. I love that you used the Josh's picture, who I got to spend a lot of time with this past week. And it's cool and I love it, but I don't think you should put it on your LinkedIn. And the reason for that is because this means nothing to me as a woman coming in, other than it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks really, really cool. However, they really want to see your face. So again, more up close that you can possibly do. So a good example of that is going to be here. I can't be any more unless I'm actually in your face, but you have a really good idea of, you know, right off the bat, being able to see me and thinking, okay, I know what this person looks like. And again, it has to do with the eyes, right? So if that's the case, then Christina, we can't see you, even though we've highlighted it here. I would much rather see you, the real you in this. And this is fun for Twitter. Don't get me wrong. I think it's perfect for Twitter, but for LinkedIn, I wouldn't put it on there. And then I would also challenge you, Christina, to add more about what you do, because right off the bat, when I see CPA, do you know where my brain goes? It goes to, oh, she does taxes. Christina, do you do taxes?
Not anymore.
No, you don't, not anymore. So if that's the case, then I'm very dependent on, because people know CPA. We have a CPA. Most families in America that are earning over median and above have a CPA, or at least drop it off someplace that has an EA in the office, right? So they're probably using a CPA. They know what that means. CFP has finally gotten to that level now of, it's close to a CPA. It's still not the same. People know that way more than a CFP. If that's the case though, and you're not doing taxes, you could even put something fun in here like, tax planner turned financial planner. You know what I mean? Or recovering tax, recovering CPA on, working on financial planning or something fun. It
Okay.
tells me you don't do taxes anymore, but you're in financial services and this is what you do. Okay. So again, I know that Gertzema has a well-established page on here because I've been on it. Look how clean that now we see where we get some, see how the other one was super pixelated? This is not. I would even challenge Nick and his team to make sure this says Gertzema Wealth Advisor somewhere on here too, even if it's down below, and not be so dependent on here. But you have a pretty well-established, wow, look how short she is, friends. She's the first person I ever walked up to an event and I was like, yes, I'm taller than you. I'm 5'1".
Plus, all
But,
these guys, they are from 6'2" to 6'7".
Yeah,
And
so
I'm
this is actually a
4'10".
really unfair representation because everybody's like a giant in the office. But this is, now we get to see a little bit more about what you guys do. You have a really well-established page, and I already knew that about you from before, and that's one of the reasons why I'm coming into your office is to spend time with all of you. If that's the case, what I would like to see you do is make the changes here, get a more established picture here. I wouldn't use the black, though. I would use the
Yeah,
white.
I was messing around with it, trying to change it.
Don't be, no. And if you all want to leave it here because it looks good, well, you just do you, girl, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm doing this based on, you do have a personalized URL, great job. Again, your contact information, you don't have your website here. I would have your page on Gertzema as public for people to click and go learn more about yourself and your family and your work and the stuff that you do. So please make sure that that is something that's public facing. I tell you all of this and I pick on you because I want you all to be better because I believe in every one of you and what you're doing. The other thing that I would like to see in profiles when we talk about doing this revisit is I want to see you making certain that you have activity. If you have, Katie, you don't have to raise your hand. Just come off mute and say, I got a question.
So and if we were going to get to this, for the compliance stuff, I had to put
Yep.
You know what I'm trying to say. All those, if you go to my page, it's like the first thing you see.
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
My words, FINRA and SIPC. They're in the place I used to have to put them under featured, which I hate. And I think you even mentioned I don't have to do this anymore. I can put them somewhere else.
Yep.
Where was that? I know you mentioned that.
So what I would do if I were you is not feature. Nobody wants to talk. I'm not going to FINRA. Don't even know what it is. If I was a new person, wouldn't mean anything to me. Okay. Your featured link should not be advertising compliance. Rather, instead, you have a couple of choices. You can either come down and put an experience that you are an LPL registered rep and put those links down inside of there, kind of like you have down here with Kimball Financial. Does that make sense? Just drop them down and put them in your experience. But put your featured links should be your page at Gateway instead, or your Kimball, or even some of the work that you do for the boards that you're on.
Okay.
That gives you some personal things, but you're still being very compliant because I don't want to discount compliance. Just create an entry right here, okay, that says because you have LPL registered rep here.
Right.
I would instead move that into its own category for Lincoln for Linsco Private Ledger. Put it in there that you're a registered rep, and then put the featured links for that. These things.
Yes.
Down in there.
Okay.
And you can just cut and paste the securities offered through LPL Financial, member then FINRA. I move all that down with it. And then it's on your profile without being your profile.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't
Yes.
give them this much of your space. You're talking about limited time frames that people are coming in to learn about you. You have
Right.
literally have to hit them as fast as they come in and going, okay, well, this is interesting, and I want to continue to learn more.
Well, can you
Remember-
believe that my old broker dealer before LPL was actually stricter than LPL, and I
Yes.
was required to put them under featured, so it was the first thing people saw, and
Yeah,
it made me
I
so
remember who
angry.
you're. Yeah, I remember who
PWN. Yeah.
your profile was with. All right, so
Thank
the
you.
other thing, no worries at all whatsoever, not a problem. That's what we're here for. Going back to this, because I want to end at about 3:45 to, or on the 45 today for all of us. So feel free to ask questions. One of the things I do want to tell you though is it is very important to have some activity present on here. If this activity shows that it's been, 90 days, you're not active on here. It just shows you're not. Go like something. I mean, my gosh, take 5 minutes and go like a couple posts, even if you can't comment on it. Always remember when you write, Judy's also is really good about this. You have readers and skimmers. Skimmers need bullet points. I'm going to hop over to Judy's for a second so you can see what hers looks like as another example of somebody who has done very well with making sure that she's watching for the skimmers and the readers, right? So if you look at her about section, look at that, bam, she knows about those skimmers. Okay, because you know what they're doing, just so you understand, we're looking for people who are like me. I literally, if I read this and I was a person who was a banker, the only word I'm going to see is this. That's how fast my eyes are going to, it knows those 7 letters, banking. My brain has already processed that because of how we take information in from our cerebral cortex and, and tuck it back here into our cerebellum. So if that's the case, she's done a very good job. She knows the professions that she's working with in here, what her background in, her skills, her results, her specialties. She's done a really good job with that. Her thing is that maybe things could be just a little bit tweaking to make it a little better, but this is a really well put together, LinkedIn profile. Going back for me for a quick second on here, one of the things I've done the same thing. So what I tell other people to do, I follow as well, is coming down and looking into, I've got readers, I've got skimmers. And again, people are going to certain things, CFPs, that word's going to drum out, that certified financial planners. Those are, just so you guys know, if you looked at our base today, our base at Females in Finance, 62% are CFPs or, fee-based, fee-only planners. So that's exactly who I'm going for. Financial advisors, CFPs, registered reps, wealth managers. I don't see anything about here on insurance. And yet I have 32 years of insurance experience. Why? Because they're really not the main core of my audience of what I want to do. That's just, they come along and that's great. But they sometimes seem to work in with a lot of these other areas. These are actually the kind of individuals that I do best in working with. And I know my audience at this point. And so again, I always push back on you guys to have common misspellings on here. If you do not have your common misspellings, Claire, C-L-A-I-R-E, okay. Lord knows there's a million ways to do your last name. Mary should probably have one on there. It's Schmidt, because I'm sure that's another one. Christina, woo, you got a whole mouthful of letters there to change from. Make certain that you always have the common misspellings, because when somebody calls me Sheryl Brown, which I was Sheryl Brown for 48 years or whatever, people, and I'll say, you're not crazy. My last name was Brown, but I got married. I let them know what happened, because if not, they go, you got divorced. Well, I did get divorced, but I got remarried. Okay. So that's neither here nor there. So I also have this, it makes it so much easier. The other thing too, for every single one of you that I've met with, Judy, Claire, Mary, Christina, Katie as well. Every single one of you at some point in our meetings have said, I want to be a speaker. Judy is one. She's a whole nother level of speak. I get it. But every one of you have said to me, I want to be a speaker. That's great. Why is your headshot and your bio not on your front page in your thing? That is very critical, because guess what? If I'm on the road and somebody says to me, hey, I need your headshot and your bio, guess what? I can always say, go to my LinkedIn. You can totally download it right from your experience.
Carol?
Yeah.
Can I jump in on the CFP thing?
Yeah.
You cannot you cannot use that as a descriptor for yourself until you actually get the designation.
Oh, I
You
know. And
can't
that's
even, yeah,
yeah.
you can't even put working towards it on there. That's,
I'm gonna push back a little on that, Peggy, only because if you're actually actively enrolled in the CFP program, you can say you're actively pursuing your CFP.
and that also depends upon your broker dealer too. That's what I was
Well,
gonna say.
yeah, I mean, I
So
can't be,
kind of
yeah,
combination.
that part's, yeah, I can't, yeah, there's so many broker dealers out there. But I
Yeah.
did talk to the CFP board about that. And they were like, if you are enrolled and you're actively enrolled and you're pursuing it, they can say that they're actively pursuing their CFP. They can't say they're a financial planner. That's true. And nor would I tell anybody to do that. That's why I always say that financial advisor is even one that everybody's still uppity where they're at in that space. I agree with that. But I also do think that if you're going to put your CFP and you're going to use certified financial planner, know that there's one's a trademark, one's a registered mark, and make sure you mark those accordingly. So I appreciate you saying, I know that one's, I personally have actually gone to CFP board and talked to them about that because I teach so many of these classes.
They should then go back to all the certifying,
Yeah.
to the, whatever you call it, the people who give the test, like Dalton and all that stuff, because they were very adamant about it.
I know. Well, and there's a lot of actually CFPs out there who have CFP and none of the registered marks behind it. And to police all of them at this point might be, I figured that was going to be a challenge years ago and they're already in it. So, but no, I appreciate you saying that. One of the things, again, going back for a quick second, make sure you have your headshot, make sure you have your bio on here. If you want to speak, those should be downloadable straight away from LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a public platform. And as long as your profile is public, otherwise, why are you on here? If you just want to hide it, I don't even understand people who do that, to be honest with you. You might as well just take it off because then it's just fodder for you at that point. But I do think it's a really good idea for you to have that available to them.
Sheryl?
Yeah.
Is it worth putting the speaker one sheet up?
Oh, if you have a media kit, even better, because your media kit will have a PDF. It usually has your headshot in it, your bio, what you talk about, sort of that, what would you have on an entire, like, these are my top 10, 15 talks or whatever it might be. Definitely anything that they can download and make it easy for them. Because remember, it's all about the easy. Okay. So keep it easy as you can. And then as far as your actual experience, please be certain you fill it out. Again, skimmers and readers, you need to have both of them covered in here. You want to make certain that and I would say this, like I have 4,100 women and male allies now. So I need to update that. But is there a big difference between 3,200 and 4,100? I think I've established what I do. So I have this on a 2-year rotate. Every 6 months, I go through and actually update and clean this up. I have a little file folder that I put everything in on my, like if I've spoken at an event, I go down and update all of that. Otherwise, some of you on here, Judy Hoberman, Peggy Haslick, who are doing a lot of speaking would be in here every day, sometimes every week, updating this. And it becomes quite a chore to do that. So try to list out some of your top 10 things. One of the things that's really interesting to me on here too, is I don't see a lot of people, they put their volunteer work in their experience. Please separate them. This is the rule of thumb. Experience is for what you get paid to do. If you're getting paid, put it on there. If you're on a board and you're getting paid, you put it there. If you're on a board and you're not getting paid, that is a volunteer. And I also tell everybody to take it one step further. What are you currently doing versus what's in your past? Because I see a lot of times where people will put all this stuff and I'm like, dang, what's going on here? And then I'm like, oh, no, I finished doing that. Okay. So separate out your current versus your past. Okay. And it does. And in one thing too, that you can probably read through, I'll just kind of give you a behavioral metric again about these things, and fill them out, because if anybody searches for Girl Scouts of Eastern Missouri and they happen to put my name, or like Sheryl I'm going to show up in that. So you never know when someone's going to search for the board work that you do or your volunteer work. But I think that, one of the things that I have found, let me go back up here for a second. When you learn about people, when I come to any one of you as a new prospect, it's not really, I'm looking for more for just to meet people in our profession. I actually take the time to read your about section on here. I actually look at some of your experience, but things that are very telling to me is when I drop down to volunteer. And you can pick up something really quickly about me. And you could do this with anyone. Donors choose. This is where I'm donating money to make certain that children have supplies in school. I'm a support volunteer at St. Jude's. I do a lot of monetary type of volunteering for them, but I also do some other things, speaking and stuff. And these are for kids who are going through cancer treatments. You'll also see on here too, I was a past program volunteer for Girl Scouts of America, freelance writer, Autism Speaks. I was a Girl Scout troop leader. I like kids.
Mhm.
You can tell this is repeatedly over and over and over again. Okay. So guess what? If you were to call somebody and you did the same thing where you reviewed all of their information, it's really nice in that first couple of moments when you're meeting someone. Mary talks about this a lot in her book too, like you're establishing trust. If you know something about me and you ask that about me, like, I noticed you do a lot of things about, like, talk about why about your work with all these different kids organizations. What I'm going to tell you is I was a latchkey kid. My dad went to work. He worked I want you to imagine this, from 3 o'clock until midnight. And I would come home from school by myself at 6 years old, 7 years old. And I was either at the babysitter's house for about an hour and a half. And then I would go home, and my sister, who was 13, no way should she be raising a 6-year-old, was making our dinners and things like that. My dad was working at night. And so what I try to do now as an adult is I try to put time and put money into those kids who have very similar situations that I did, so that they have all the right supplies for school, which I didn't have. I donate. My mom had cancer, and I say it in here. Every donation I make is in honor of my mother, who passed away. It's why I work with Girl Scouts of America, because a lot of them take in those kids who have no place to go. But you get a lot of information right off the bat, and just knowing this about my profile. And if you take the time to ask me, it really, it sets me back for a second. I'm like, oh my gosh, you paid attention to what I was talking about in all of this. Because as much as I love all of you, I really, really enjoy children. So I think they're our most vulnerable citizens in the world, are children. And so many laws and people are trying to care for them. I'm using air quotes because they're not. So I have a really strong opinion about little kids. But that gives you an idea of how people are reading this and why it's so important that you guys fill it out. It gives a lot of information about who you are. So I was glad when Katie brought this up and said, hey, let's do a revisit on this. But I figured if you came to the call, you know what, real quick, while we're on the call here, we're going to pick on Peggy. She's the only one who's been off the hook here for a second. Peggy's broker dealer's Cambridge. So I know that. And this is a very strong, I know exactly where we're standing here with Peggy, and she lives this in every day. I think the only thing, even though she has it in it together, I still think, Peggy, it would be worth it if you would put some contact information or anything in here about, not even just leaving it at that, because I have to tell you, this on a mobile device, I'm not even going to be able to see it. Although it does set the tone, and I get where you're going, why you've done what you've done here. The thing I do love about Peggy's is she goes right into not only having her credentialing on here, but she tells you she works with doctors, veterinarians, attorneys, business. I know exactly who she stands. And here's my phone number on top of it. That kind of puts the throwdown. And for somebody like me, I don't know if you can see the little green button on here. I have set up on my computer so I can automatically call when it recognizes phone numbers. So I can call from my computer device, and it's becoming much more prevalent in here. The one thing that she has on here for her website is her Calendly to set up a calendar appointment. I do think it would be worthy of your time, Peggy, to put a secondary if Cambridge will allow you to put your website address on here and make it public facing, so people don't have to go to the affinity group to go look it up. I would like to be able to just click it. Okay. But she's got a lot of really good stuff in here right off the bat. The other thing that she has done, she has her bio, she has all of this stuff in here exactly like we just talked about. She talks about her freelance work here as a speaker. Maybe a good idea to move or have something down here like a media kit, Peggy, to have that available for people so that you don't have to like deliver it to anyone. It's just downloadable. Because I assume Cambridge still has to approve it. I probably have to guess that, but probably. So go ahead and put it there and just make it easy. She's very active on social media. There's no doubt about that. And then I'd like to see she took to heart what I said before about the common misspellings, but I think I'd like to see you break this up to a couple bullet points in here, because you're just going to have your ADD people who want to skim real quick. So put some high points in here of what that is. Like if you are a veterinarian looking for this, if you're a doctor who does that, it just helps set that tone real quick of, I want to read more. That is exactly who I am. Or, hey, you know what? That's not me. I need to move on. And it's almost like a professional courtesy, if you will. But her profile is very good. She's taken a lot of time to really put into this. There's not a whole lot here that I think is off or different or whatever. She's been working on this a while. I've been watching her. So
quick question about that.
yeah.
Is there a way to move the volunteering up? Because it has my most recent one on the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. You should be able to manipulate. Let's take a look real quick. Let me edit mine real quick and see if I can do it or not. So hold on a second. I have to get down there. Volunteer. So we're gonna, yes. Well, let's see here. Yeah, you can reorder. Did you see how I did that? So so let's go back so you can watch it step by step, Peggy. So if you come down to your volunteer and hit the little pencil, and then you see this little up down button, click that. You can now grab and reorder these. Does that make sense? Okay. All right.
To put a new picture with her glasses on.
She's always like, nah.
Like you look so strong and vibrant on the screen.
I know. I've told her that too. So I'm glad somebody else.
Justice.
Cheryl,
I
tell
feel
me
like-
again why we do the common misspellings. What?
Oh, because when people go to search, they search in Google. They don't search LinkedIn. So
and
when
it
they
will
search
pick it up.
yeah, if you actually have it in your profile, Google will pick it up and index it for you so that you're findable.
Perfect. Thank you.
I always feel like this picture is very docile, Peggy, and Peggy's strong. So I always feel like this picture is her like, I'm so nice. And she's nice. And so she's wants to be very direct. And she's very strong. So I like that. I wish she had I'm the same. I'm going to back up on that one too, Christina, that I'd like to see her with that strong picture because she's somebody who really stands up for people. And it shows in what the work she does. First time I ever saw this, in fact, I made a comment. I think it was to Tony Stewart one time because I had to put Peggy on something. And I said, this picture's like, she's so nice. And not that she's not. He goes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's so funny she said that. So any other questions of things I didn't touch on that you were like dying to know? You guys didn't know you were going to be picked up on this, picked on this, but I wanted to make certain that you felt like you really had real world experience with what we were talking about doing this. Otherwise it's not worth it.
On the pronunciation tool.
Yeah.
I recommend you do it even if your name is very common, because don't forget there might be somebody who's not good with the language who might want to know how to address you, and it kind of opens the door for them to do it on their profile too. So it's the same with the pronouns. It's like, do it if you want to open it up, more accessibility for people. Then you also know who's listened or looked at your profile, because I get these phone calls and they butcher my name or whatever, and it's like, oh, you didn't even read my profile, did you? You just called me.
Yeah, but I know you, and I've got 25 leads for you, and I always get those. I'm like I looked at your profile. I'm like, and and yeah, so it's interesting. I try to, I do keep up really close. The Google search is really, really important to everyone to pay attention to. If you are not creating video content, I'm pointing that finger at myself too. Oh, I always hate it. But I found a really great tool, because I always come with my hacks, come prepared. There is a really great tool that is free, and it is called Veed. If you've never seen it, look in your app store for Veed, F-E-E-D, Veed Captions. And you literally can, let me pull this up. You can record a video. So I'm just I'll just do it right in front of you. Watch this. I'm going to record this video right now in front of everybody so they can see just how easy this is to do. To Peggy's point, closed captioning, 3 things. 1, most people watch video on silent and read. 2, most people watch video on silent and they want to just looking for keywords. Okay. They're looking for keywords of things. So make certain that you're using your keywords. But the other part of it is that there's people who are hard of hearing. And they don't want to wear earbuds. Okay. So watch this. So I made this really attractive video. That's me. And then we're going to use the video. Watch this. I'm going to add captions. This is really how easy it is. And done. And we can now, I want to play this. Yeah. So you can see. There it is. It's that. There it is. And you can actually edit it if for some reason it didn't pick up the talk to text on it. Apple, take some notes, because I wish you would use their talk to text, because it is so much easier. But I think it is impressive, and it's free. So use it. Okay. So if you want to make videos with your phone, you can.
Veed, VEED.io.
I think it might be that, but when I looked in the app store, it was Veed Captions, VEED.
Veed Captions.
Yeah. And you know who loves it? Compliance, because it has all the words on it. Because guess what? They're not listening to you either. They're watching the words on the thing. It's the truth. So hopefully that has been valuable to everyone. I always like to bring a lot of value in these quick meetings. If you have ideas, the November schedule is already up. So make certain that you take a look at that and see what we're talking about. It's already in the portal, preloaded. And I look forward to seeing all your happy, shiny faces.
Thank you.
No meeting next week. It's Halloween. I take Halloween serious in this house. Okay, I do. I take the day off because I get dressed up. So no meeting next week, but the week after that. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Take care of
Thank you
yourself.
again.
Friends.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.